back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you're joining us for our show again this evening. We're always happy for people like you that are interested in the issues that are happening in the 9 cities in Northwest Community Television's viewing area. It is important for good government to have people in the cities interacting with the staff and with our city councils. We need a good flow of information back and forth. If you haven't watched our show before, each week we'll have on somebody from one of the 9 cities telling us about the issues and what's happening in that particular city. And from time to time we'll have other units of government like the legislature or groups that are involved with all of our cities. But now we're just in September, so we're in the election season. And we're very happy to bring to you several candidates and give you information if you live in a particular city, of who's running in your city and how they feel on different issues. So we do encourage all of you to pay attention, write down their name and their phone number and their email in case you have any questions or you want to give them comments. But this will help prepare you to get ready to vote in November. So I'm very happy tonight to have 3 guests. And we've got Dan Stauner, who's on the New Hope City Council, running for re-election. We've got Dennis Motl, did I say it right?
Right.
Oh, good. Who's running for office in the City Council of Robbinsdale. And we've got Jonathan London, who's running for City Council in New Hope also. So we're very glad to have all 3 of you with, and that you can let the people out in your cities know a little bit more about where you're coming from. I've gave them some questions so they're all prepared and ready to go. So we're very happy to have them with us.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. Now we're going to start with Dan Stauner. And I asked people themselves to introduce themselves out to you, the wider audience, rather than me doing the introduction. So we'll let Dan tell a little bit about himself and his background so you know more about him.
Well, I'm a practicing lawyer, practicing primarily business and real estate law. Have been for 30 years. Hard to believe, but it's been 30 years.
Wow.
And I'm a 25-year resident of New Hope, and for the last 7.5 years or so, I've been on the New Hope City Council. Also served on both the Shingle Creek and the Bassett Creek Watershed Commissions, and I serve on the West Metro Fire District Board of Directors as well.
You've been busy, right?
Very.
And you've seen a lot of changes in our city.
Yes, we have. We during my tenure, we changed city managers, and
yes,
we had, a lot of Kmart went out, and Hy-Vee's coming in, and we've got a lot of other changes that have taken place.
Definitely. A lot of things going on in our city that you've both involved with or watched as they changed over the years. Yeah, 25 years ago, things were quite a bit different, right?
Yes, they were.
We were talking about that earlier before the show got started. And then I asked everybody to start out kind of thinking of what's one issue that you think is really important in your city or that you'd like to share with the voters from New Hope out there?
Actually, I've got 3 that I think are important to focus on. You know, there's an old saying that you know, when you run for election and look at issues in the future, they're never the issues that you actually have to deal with. But you know,
right.
Given my experience on the council, I think one very important issue is the budget. Continuing to improve the budget process and keeping in mind that government has to be affordable to people.
Right.
I think we need to do a much better job in New Hope in how we utilize the citizen commissions, and in particular the Citizens Advisory Commission. That's a seriously underutilized resource, and there has to be a better use of that commission and better coordination between the council and the citizen commissions and better communication.
Right.
And then I think we have to start thinking about redevelopment along 42nd Avenue east of Winnetka. With what's happening in City Center, that's where our next focus has to be, moving the process along in that stretch.
Yeah, because you've been involved in a lot of things, probably since you got elected, dealing with the city center area, right?
Yes, we have. We went through this whole visioning process and spent a great deal of time, and we did involve the Planning Commission extensively, and
Okay.
I think briefly Roy brought the Citizens Advisory Commission in,
Uh-huh.
but they weren't included in all the meetings, which is disappointing.
Oh, yeah,
and we
that
also
would
did
be.
not include our Human Rights Commission,
Huh.
which is an important part of redevelopment because you're
right,
dealing with
right.
changes that are demographic,
Right.
and we are becoming a more diverse community.
Oh,
and
definitely.
that's part of what happens when you go through redevelopment, and it's something that the Human Rights Commission focuses on and should be involved in.
Oh, right.
So
And then you said 3 issues.
I did
Budgeting?
the
I
better
maybe
use
missed
of
one.
citizen commissions, the
Oh,
budget,
okay.
continuing to improve the budget process.
Okay, maybe
And
you
then-
could add a little bit there. What would you like to see happen in the budget process? Because
Well,
we're always wanting
when
people
I-
to
one of
think
the-
about it.
One of the big changes between what we have now and what we had when I first got on the council is the format of the budget. We have
All
a much
right.
more understandable format, much
Ah.
clearer, much more precise. There's still room for tweaking.
Right.
For example, one of the things I asked them to add this year is the percentage change in each department budget.
Oh,
That's not
sure.
included in
Uh-huh.
there now. So when you're looking at the budget, you can figure out, yeah, it's gone up $1,000
Right.
or $10,000 for that department, but you don't have the easy little say, oh, that's a 10% increase or that's a 5% increase. And I have my own sort of litmus test that once you get much above 5%, I want an explanation of what the cost factors are that are driving that.
Right.
And that's one of the things, again, that I've seen change over time. And it not without a fight, frankly.
Okay, right.
But one of the things I've seen changed is that we have a much better staff approach to the budget process. It's less, well, this is what we did last year and we're adding 10% to that. It's now, yes, now we know this is why we need to spend this money because we have these factors that are coming into play. A good example is police radios.
Okay.
We had a situation, we had to replace the police radios.
Uh-huh.
We got a very good explanation of why, and it's just technology.
right.
The technology of the existing radios are still good, they just aren't compatible with the new technology going into the system, into the 911 or system. So, you have to have spend the money, not because your radios are bad, but because they no longer work with the system. So.
Well, I think I heard somebody say people are always concerned about taxes, but if they know that you're doing a good job of spending the money, then that kind of dissipates that.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the council's job is oversight on how the money gets spent and making sure that when we spend the money, we're accomplishing the purpose we're supposed to be spending it on. Cities are required to spend money to accomplish a public purpose. We cannot tax people and take that tax money and then spend it to create private benefits. We have to accomplish a public purpose. And part of the budget process is asking the question of, are we accomplishing the purpose that we are intending to when we spend the money? When we spent the money last year, did we accomplish the purpose? And if not, why not? And where do we have to change the budget to better accomplish our purposes? So.
And then I asked all of you, so each one in turn will be doing this too, to tell people out there why should they vote for you? When election day comes, they're in there ready to vote.
Well, I've got I think a track record, a proven record of leadership on the council, of effectiveness. I was instrumental in resolving the crisis with Crystal over the West Metro Fire District. I played a very big role in that, even if I say so myself. And I've provided, I have a unique set, I think, of skills and experience that has been valuable to this council and will continue to be. So.
Okay, and we've just got a little time left for you to say, what are you hearing from people as you talk to residents in your city?
Mostly that I should vote for the Hive East for. You might say made the mistake or committed the sin of daring to ask questions about it. And I got a flood of people saying, how dare you? You've got to vote for it. And, that just because I ask questions doesn't mean I'm against it. We just have to do our due diligence and make sure we've got all the details of the process right.
Definitely.
So.
Well, now we're going to move on to Dennis Motl.
So-
Well, Dennis is from Robbinsdale, and I will have him start off by introducing himself to our wider audience and also particularly to the people in Robbinsdale.
Okay. I have been a resident of Robbinsdale since 2000. I gotta go back a little ways, actually, 2001. And I lived there with my beautiful wife, Shannon, and our two daughters, Ava and Sophia. They are currently entering the 3rd grade at Robbinsdale Spanish Immersion, so we have quite a bit of Spanish flying around our house there as well. We're a very typical low-key family. We like our privacy. We like the small town feel of Robbinsdale. We both grew up in smaller towns. I call Staples, Minnesota, my hometown, and my wife is from Alcester, South Dakota. So we've both been in very small towns, and with a population of just about 13,000, it seemed like a really good fit. I really enjoy how the city, seems quaint, and it's not. You can feel like you've got neighbors who care about you, and it's simple that way. So primarily, what I bring to the table, and a little bit about me. My work, I'm in sales by trade, and I've been in the IT world for quite a while. So selling a lot of computer equipment and things like that. What I'm currently doing right now is working with a couple of doctors in the world of podiatry, and working with nursing homes and things like that. So that's currently my deal. My wife is a piano teacher, and she teaches privately to people around the area. So all in all, like I said, we're the average family, and really just want to make a difference is really what it's all about.
Then I'll switch you over to what are the issues in Robbinsdale that are concerning you and probably part of why you decided to run.
Right.
So maybe you can share 2-3 issues that you think are important?
Well, realistically, I think for me it comes down to one larger issue. And the one larger issue is people's perception, and perception is the issue. The perception of Robbinsdale is not a bad perception. It's just a misguided perception. The city, it being a first-ring suburb, is close to everything. It's close to entertainment. It's a good commuting city within the 94 loop. Those are very much many of the same reasons that we decided to make Robbinsdale our home. But the perception of a first-ring suburb is potentially more crime, potentially things that are less desirable. The crowd of people moving in may not be what people would hope for. At this point, we're really moving into the younger crowd.
Definitely.
We want upwardly mobile people to move into the area, and the perception is that it's an older folks neighborhood.
Which it was for many years, but it has
for many
changed.
years.
It's changed.
The median age is 53, and my guess is it's probably going to continue to go down as time goes by, as the boomers are moving on and moving out, and moving to retirement homes and outer suburbs and things like that. But in my opinion, I think perception is really the key that we need to work on in Robbinsdale, and that's one thing I want to spearhead. I want Robbinsdale to be that city that people look at for more than just the level 1 trauma center. We're in the news a lot. The last shooting, the last, whatever. We're in the news because of North Memorial, and there's nothing wrong with being in the news that way, but I'd like to be in the news for some of the other good things that we offer. Smaller community sizes, The school's classrooms are typically, smaller in Robbinsdale as
Right.
well. And, that's kind of really the focus, the thrust of my campaign.
And what would you like to see done, or are there some changes that would help cause that to happen?
I think making sure that we are bringing in new business is one
Okay.
thing. There are a lot of buildings that are vacant. There are a lot of strip malls that have the tendency of rotating. What's the word I'm looking for?
The businesses.
Yeah, the business rotate
change
in
it.
and out.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. And then I know that there's a lot of homes as well that are either vacant
Oh,
or
right.
need filling. And I think because we live in an affordable area, it should be easier for us to build our population that way. There is some space for growth as well. They are, we have been moving some of the homes out
Right.
and rebuilding and things like that. So I think on average, somewhere between 13 and 15 homes over the last several years have been, built. So, things are moving in the right direction that way. But I think we really need to focus on bringing in the younger, more upwardly mobile crowd and make it possible for us as a city to not only work in Robbinsdale, but shop in Robbinsdale and, live in Robbinsdale.
Right.
And I think it's somewhat of a shame that we're unable to, shop like other cities shop. There isn't that much to shop at.
Okay.
So-
Well, I'm going to stop you
Absolutely,
there
yep.
because I wanted to make sure we have enough time for you to tell people out there why they should vote for you
Right.
come the second Tuesday in November.
Right on. I believe that I am the right candidate at this point in time to bridge the gap between the young folks who really are looking for a place to settle
Okay.
and our current community needs.
Right.
So, whether you're a youngster or an oldster or, somewhere in the middle,
Right.
I think it's appropriate to give me a shot.
Okay.
Vote for Motl.
Well, we'll encourage you to keep moving forwards, and we'll move on to our last person tonight to share his information about himself, Jonathan London, and that he's also running for New Hope. So if you want to share with our audience your background and what you want to tell people about, so they'll know a little more about you.
Very good. Well, thank you for having me on your program. I am very passionate about the city I grew up in 38 years ago. I lived in New Hope for more than 30 years
Wow.
and spent 6 years as a Citizen Advisory Commissioner, 2 years as Chairman. I also have a young family, two school-age children. My son Matthew attends Robbinsdale Spanish Immersion with Dennis's girls. He's going into 3rd grade this year, and then my daughter is she'll be in preschool, and will attend hopefully Spanish Immersion next year. But in the time that I've spent in the city, have seen a lot.
Oh, sure. That's a long
As
time.
many people have that have been in New Hope for 40, 50 years. And I decided to run after spending the time and learning about the city on the Citizen Advisory Commission. As Councilmember Stauner was talking about earlier, I was involved in many of the things that the City Council wanted to look at and investigate,
Right.
but maybe didn't want the political heat at the time, so we held a conference or an open meeting for residents and listened to their concerns.
Sure.
The main issue that I see in New Hope is housing.
Okay.
Most people will say that City of New Hope is fully developed, and I agree. However, the City of New Hope needs to start building new housing.
Okay.
We need to start taking down old homes, unsightly, dilapidated homes, and build new homes. The City of Crystal is doing it. Since 2000, they average roughly 13 and a half homes a year.
Okay.
The City of New Hope has averaged less than 2 homes a year. So just since 2000, Crystal, our neighbor to the east, has built over 100 more new homes than the city of New Hope. And that impacts a lot.
Okay.
We have a high amount of rental housing in New Hope.
Yes, New Hope does.
Almost 45% of the housing in New Hope is rental.
Right.
That impacts our business development, our school district, and our property values. And specifically on the business development, as Councilmember Stauner was talking about, there is a vision document for the city center. It's a 37-page document that outlines the decade or more work that residents, council members, consultants participated in to build a city center that was a draw that brought people to New Hope. I don't believe that Hy-Vee will do that.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate because we spent a lot of time, thousands of hours, or thousands of dollars, and many meetings to discuss what residents wanted. And it's in this 37-page document that I hope people will go to the city website and see, and even attend upcoming meetings for the Hy-Vee store,
right,
so that they can voice their concerns or comments on the development of City Center. The other thing is that it's impacting the school district. The high amount of rentals is impacting the school district. And yes, we have a very strong school district, but we need to understand that we're competing for residents, and we compete amongst the surrounding cities.
Certainly.
Plymouth, Maple Grove, St. Louis Park, Golden Valley. Many of my friends have moved out of New Hope to these suburbs because the perception is that the school district is stronger there. Now, I don't necessarily agree. I teach chess at Robbinsdale Spanish Immersion to almost 175 children. Now, we have a crown jewel in Robbinsdale Spanish Immersion, but Robbinsdale School District as a whole, the 11,000 some children,
right,
I still think it's one of the top districts, and I want to work with the school board to come up with a new method of testing. I don't believe that schools should be assessed based on just test scores alone. Most young families today, when they look at where to move, they say, what are the test scores? And tell me about how many people are on reduced and free lunch. Those are the two metrics that people look at. And I think that they need to look at leveling the scores out based on a bunch of different factors that impact those children's scores. The other thing that I'd like to bring is new reporting. We have, as Councilmember Stauner talked about, the budget. The budget is very important, and many important issues come from looking at the budget itself. However, we have the city citizen survey, we have the comprehensive plan, which is 700 plus pages. Even the mayor struggles with the comprehensive plan. So I want to bring about what I call a dashboard reporting. Imagine you're driving your car and you look at a bunch of key metrics. These key metrics, there would be 30 to 40 key metrics that the city would concentrate on, from tax values to crime to streets, the quality of the streets, to school district data, city survey data, and the like. Tracking it year over year over year, many times hopefully getting a 10-year time span so that we can see how well the city is doing. Are we moving forward in New Hope, or are we moving back? It's one of the main questions that we had when I was Citizen Advisory Commissioner. And so I think that the reporting will do that, and I think that it's critical because the budget, as we said, we're very financially minded, but we also need to see that how the budget plays in with these different factors. The biggest expense, or one of the biggest expenses on the budget, is public safety. Public safety is up 30% since 2007.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stop you there because I want to make sure you have enough time to tell people out in New Hope why they should vote for you in the election.
Sure. Thank you. I ask for your vote on November 4th because I hope to change the course of New Hope.
Okay.
I believe that we need to bring about new housing, which will, over the long term, change the demographic data that businesses look at and use to decide whether they should locate in New Hope or Plymouth or Maple Grove. It will impact our school district and strengthen our school district, as I've had many discussions with school teachers. Number one issue that they face is poverty. The second, transiency. Students coming in and out during the year generally is higher with the higher degree of rental property. And then lastly, I'm a financially minded person. I manage money for individuals, and I'm very responsible about finances and the budget. And that is actually one of my strengths as a past budget analyst.
Because I want to encourage everybody out there to, I hope they took time to take your name and need numbers down, because we're trying to encourage people to be more involved, but also to find out information, to know if a candidate is the person that they want to vote for, and we're going to encourage people to do some voting. So we'll ask those out in the audience, if you're in New Hope or if you're in Robbinsdale, of course, contact these people. But maybe some of the issues that they talked about are also ones that you're interested in. And if that's the case, then contact the people that are running in your city. Now, we'll be having candidate programs on through the month of October, so we will cover many more cities. But we do want to encourage you to take an active role in your city, because the city government is the government that makes decisions that probably affect you the most. Then I asked all three of them here earlier when we were talking before the show to think about maybe something very briefly that's really good about your city and you don't want to see it changed.
Well, actually, some public safety was brought up. I think we have a very excellent police department. And yes, it's increased. We've gotten more police officers. And that's one of, I think, New Hope's strong suits is public safety.
Dennis?
I think I'd like to continue with the small town quaint feel that Robbinsdale has, and be able to build enough new businesses, maybe some new retail that allows for us to remain quaint.
Right. And Jonathan?
And I'll echo what Councilmember Stauner said about the police. I'm a big fan of Chief Fournier. And I also would add our parks and recreation.
Okay.
Very good in the city of New Hope.
Well, we'll ask those of you out in our audience to be sure to tune in next week, because we'll have more cities, more candidates' issues on. We're glad that you're following our show and that you're interested in the city issues. And we'll be filling you in on more and more of the candidates as the weeks go by. Bye.
Bye.